Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. He'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand the truth.
Radio. We have. All right. Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Let's jump over to our cosmic weather, see what we're having to deal with. All right. Today's the 29th. 29th. If it's your birthday today, happy birthday. Today we have a moon in Gemini. Moon in Gemini, just like yesterday. Gemini is an air sign. Gemini is about words. It's about actions. It's about communication. The sign that works with Gemini is Mercury, or the planet is Mercury, the communicator. So we have that on the underneath, the subconscious mind. Our conscious mind, the thing on the outside that we're portraying every day for this next couple weeks, is Virgo. Virgo is an earth sign. Virgo is, in the tarot cards, is represented by the card of the Hermit, which is a teacher. So this is a time of teaching, of a teacher is able to analyze information and then bring that forward for others to see. So what we know of is, in the particular card of the Hermit, we have someone who has endured a period of time. They've been patient. They understand that there's divine timing to everything, and with that divine timing, now they're going to step forward to hold that lantern high for others to see, to shine the light into the world. And that is what we are. We're all teachers. We're here to shine the light for each other, to help each other. Somehow along the way, we've forgotten that, but we're reminded all the time by what's going on with the seasons and so on. So we have the Virgo energy, earthly energy, bringing down those elements down the practical way into the earth, and then we have communication underneath. So air and earth, that's what we're working with. All right. The moon phase is 38% of the way full, making its way down to the new moon. This is the waning phase. Waning means going down, waxing means going up. So we've got the waxing moon and the waning moon, or in the waning moon. The Mayan Oracle, we're at a 3-tone day right here. This is the wave spell of the warrior, asking questions using our intelligence. So today is the mirror, the reflection, our own self-reflection, our ability to look into that mirror, to see what we see reflected back at us. And what we want to look for, we're looking for that truth, that realness of who we are. Okay? That mirror provides that opportunity to do that. Our guide today is inspiration. Inspired to look into the mirror, inspired by maybe what we see in the mirror. And then we have the 3 here, which is all about the activation tone. Electric. It's called the electric tone. It's about activation. It's about service. So today we have the activation of endlessness, guided by inspiration. So just take those words, think about them, and just let yourself figure out what they mean to you. Okay, because these systems, these are just tools. That is all that they are, only tools. And we look at these tools and we use them to help better understand ourselves. I mean, after all, isn't that the journey of life, to understand, to evolve? And as we evolve in intelligence, aren't we then able to participate in the universe as an intelligent participant? That seems to be the whole plan, to be like the Creator, who we know is an intelligent source. We are all aspects of that, therefore intelligence is inherent within who we are. So these are just tools, all right? Phrase, I activate in order to reflect bonding order. I seal the matrix of endlessness with the electric tone of service. I am guided by the power of spirit. Over at Spaceweather, our solar wind is 357.2 kilometers per second. We've gone way down. We're quiet. 1 is our planetary K index at the moment. Right here, we've got one big solar hole right here, coronal hole, and kind of looks like it stretches down here. You know, I always find it interesting when these holes appear, these coronal holes, and they seem to have such sharp edges. You know, could be part of a square maybe, or a triangle. But whenever those appear, they've always catch my attention. Here we've got M-class flare, X-class flare possibility is low, and geomagnetic storm activity is low as well. For more insight, this is Suspicious Observers Report for today. Here we go.
Good morning, folks. Last night we shared blood coming from the ice. See that tent in the bottom left? The size of this formation is even more impressive than the life under the ice creating it. Gotta check this one out from weather.com. Then we've got Fukushima. In 2011, I called this the worst man-made exacerbation of a natural disaster in the history of our planet. Since then, the information coming out has been sporadic and often suspect, but today's official word is a raise in the alert level due to the sheer volume of leaking radiation, mostly water. Good article here, linked from NOAA on oceanic salinity changes over the last decade or so, more interesting than you'd think. Observers who have seen Starwater Chapter 1 know what Titan hides beneath its surface, but can you guess why mountains on Titan have less gravity? Lastly, Phobos eclipses the Sun, from the rover's perspective, of course. Switching to weather, Typhoon Kongray, I'm waiting damage and death reports from the system as predictions shift his course to the north slightly. Got a tropical storm at Baja, already the second storm in a row sending moisture over the U.S. drought zone. We'll need better model agreement to state a course here. You know solar maximum is disappointing when a C1 flare stands out like a flamingo at a goose gathering. All sunspots are on the incoming hemisphere. Up north, the backside double negative umbra is calm, and I'm actually more watching the growth out ahead of it. While down south appears to have a fractured leading positive umbra with struggles to mix magnetically behind it. Yellow solar wind speed wanes and orange density holding steady. This is the recipe for clean, clear geomagnetics and repair phase from our recent magnetic storm. Look at the nice curves regained electromagnetically. Earth's primary magnetic connection to the Sun shifts towards center disk, with Venus hopping to the eastern limb and Mercury still sharing a connection with Mars on the backside. Geomagnetics and space weather are quiet. Next planetary geometry isn't till September, and the coronal hole is still a factor, but more so, we remain about 50% below average from earthquakes the last few weeks, and that just can't last forever. Score is 5-6. Last night we showed a couple backside filament eruptions. It's a good thing these are going the opposite way because both were clocked over 2,000 kilometers per second. Then, just this morning, the massive Earth-facing filament ripped away from the Sun. Luckily, it is mostly headed south, but we'll need updated satellites today to tell if a glancing blow is in the offing. Last but not least, if you haven't seen the Spaceweather 102s, they are very helpful. The right side of NASA's Endless Spiral Explained has been re-uploaded many times across the net, and it just so happens today's spiral is a perfect test to see if you understand how that model works. Shots of our star to close, eyes open, no fear, it's 6:15 a.m. Eastern Time, and that's the news. Be safe, everyone.
Alright, there you go. Alright, so this week we've been talking about the Pleiades. Let's continue on with that. I'm going to start off, I want to present you with a website, and then I got a couple of clips I want to play for you. This site here, it's come from the Academy for Future Science, and it has a nice, good description here of the Pleiades, past, present, and future. So you got a nice, good graphic. This is, you know, the star system out there, the major stars at the moment. Okay, and then we're going to go down here and just give you a little bit of sample here what this says. How does this confirm? Okay, from the Book of Knowledge, Keys of Enoch, in key 106, it says the Pleiades represent the key to physical procreation. It represents the galactic beginning of the physical Adamic household. How does this confirm that the ancients knew about the Pleiades? What legends of cultural anthropology around the world are concerned with the Pleiades? The Pleiades in Greek mythology are the 7 daughters of Atlas and Pleiadion, named Alcyone, Metrio, Electra, Heleno, Taygeta, Maia, and Asterope. Atlas and Pleiadion are the neighboring stars, but many Greek temples were oriented to the rising and setting of the Pleiades. The Greeks also referred to the word Pleiades, spelled with an extra E, as the doves. The earliest recorded reference to the Pleiades, however, may be in a Chinese astronomical literature dating from 2357 BCE. For agricultural tribes in the northern hemisphere, the course of the Pleiades indicated the beginning and the ending of the growing season. Probably the most famous legend of the Pleiades in Native American lore is the story behind Devil's Tower, Wyoming, a volcanic rock which is known to the local Kiowa Indians as Mateo Tepe. They tell us that once 7 maidens camped near the river in the region known to have many bears. One of the bears began to chase the maidens, who knelt to pray for help, calling upon the gods. The ground was raised into the sky. The bear tried to follow in vain and clawed the side of the rock into marks which were seen on the tower. To protect the maidens, the Great Spirit allowed them to remain in the sky as the 7 sisters, the Pleiades. Alright, then it goes into talking about the present. There's more to that past section. The present tells us, astronomers tell us they are in the middle of interlocking wheel within a cosmic time machine that the Mayans and also Egyptians also understood. And just as we go around in relationship to our intermediate solar paradigm, our entire galactic system currently is moving around in relationship to a larger configuration of the Pleiades, now known to astronomers as Miser 45. This larger wheel is known as the precession of the equinoxes, the period of time it takes for the Earth to pass through one complete cycle of the constellations of the zodiac. It is the Earth's wobble or spinning axis that makes the zodiac appear to move backwards, one sign about every 2200 years, or about 1 degree every 72 years. This averages 12 signs in 26,000 years. The Pleiades occupy a key role in both the northern and southern hemispheres during the equinoxes and the solstices, which are established by this precession. Okay, and down here, the future. Why were the ancients so impressed with the Pleiades? Well, Key 106 tells us that the Pleiades is the cradle and the throne of the consciousness, our consciousness, emphasizing that the program of Adamic life was created in connection with the region of space, and it is in this region of space that will also signal the return of higher intelligence. The key use in the word throne because it represents the place where the higher hierarchies come together to balance lower creation. There are, in fact, many throne regions, many logos, realms of power working for our spiritual preparation. The Pleiades, thus, is a throne center, just as Orion is a gateway center. The Pleiades is thus a marker for the events of heavenly earth contact and angelic human overlap of meetings recorded by the different cultures in the world with almost uncanny accuracy. Even more important is the drawing realization of an immense age and historical plausibility of those legends of the Pleiades found throughout the world, which all point to a great protection and ultimate transformation of creation that will allow us to go back into the higher heavens, being elevated, reprogrammed, and restructured into the heaven of the Most High God. Alright? So, check out this website. It's a great website, a lot of good information. If you've never read the Keys of Enoch, look them up. Look up the Keys of Enoch, and it's a very, very good book. Awesome book, as a matter of fact. And it carries with it a series of keys, information that is basically presenting to the world proofs of how these spiritual things operate. Okay? I guess that's the easiest description at this moment. But check it out, Keys of Enoch. Alright, so this piece I want to get to here is called the Seven Sisters or Pleiades. It gets into a little bit more of a astronomical description. So listen to this. Alright, well, hold on for that to pass there. I don't really like the Pleiades commercials here. So, alright, here we go now.
So, first of all, John, we've come all this way to your incredible telescope over there. There's your telescope. And yet we're outside with a pair of binoculars. What's going on here? Why are we doing this?
Well, some objects just are too big to get into a telescope field of view. You really need lower magnification. And the binoculars are an ideal means of doing that. You know, we look at the sky because of the beauty of it as well as the science of it. And certainly through binoculars, the Pleiades are a beautiful object to look at.
Well, this is one of my favourite images of one of my favourite Messier objects. This is the Pleiades, or Seven Sisters, Messier 45, and it's a beautiful object to look at. It's really easy to locate this object in the night sky. You just find the belt of Orion, follow the belt stars up and to the right. They point to a bright orange star, which is Aldebaran. Keep the line going, and eventually you end up at the Pleiades open cluster.
The Pleiades is not only an open cluster, which means it's a group of stars, but it's what we call a reflection nebula. And so the Pleiades was formed something like 100 million years ago. So it's relatively young. I mean, it's not very young. It's relatively young in terms of the populations of clusters in the Milky Way. So globular clusters are billions of years old. Open clusters like Orion Nebula, M42, and the Pleiades are much younger variations.
On a dark autumn winter night when the cluster is above the horizon, it really vies for your attention. It's a bit like diamonds scattered on black velvet. That's the way I always describe it. With the naked eye, if you stare at the Pleiades, that's when things start to get quite interesting, because Seven Sisters probably gives away how many stars you're supposed to see there.
It's about the brightest and prettiest star cluster in the northern sky, or even in the sky as a whole. At the moment, it's just up there. If you go up from Venus, about as far as Jupiter is down, you'll see something shimmering in the dark.
I can see them. We can't see them with the camera.
It's known as Seven Sisters, even though it's clearly a lot more than 7 stars in the cluster. There's maybe 1,000 stars altogether. The ones you can see with the naked eye tend to be, there's 6 pretty bright ones and one which is borderline in terms of whether you can see it or not.
What tends to happen as you're studying the cluster, it's like your eyesight gets dragged into it and suddenly you start to pick out these other stars. So it's well worth, if you can see them, just having time out and staring at them, see how many you can see. Where things start to get really interesting, though, is when you use a pair of binoculars. I think binoculars really bring out the best of this cluster.
What are you seeing compared with what you saw without?
Oh, I can see lots and lots of stars. I can see about a dozen fairly bright stars, and then in the background dozens and dozens more.
When you see a photograph like this is actually a long exposure photograph taken with a digital SLR camera in this case. I think this was a 5-minute exposure. And it's a single exposure. You'd normally, if you're doing astrophotography, you'd take lots and lots of exposures and stack them together. But the Pleiades is actually quite a bright object, and here I've been lazy and I've just taken a single exposure. And you can see that as well as all the cluster stars, there's also a lot of material around those stars as well.
Most of the stuff between the stars is gas, and it can be kind of cold or hot or whatever. But there's other stuff which is dust. It's a bit like soot. And like soot, it kind of scatters the light. And right now, the reason the Pleiades is what we call a reflection nebula is it's passing through a region of dust and gas. You can see, hopefully, around, certainly this one here, this is my rope, this kind of wispy material. It's kind of almost a ghost-like image. And so this is where the light from the star is kind of hitting bits of dust, and it's then being scattered off that dust towards us.
Can I have a turn?
Yep, sure.
Do you want to be cameraman?
Yep.
There you go.
Look at Venus.
Oh, yep, okay.
Now go up from Venus.
Yep. Up from Venus.
As far as Jupiter is below Venus.
Yeah.
And then move to the left.
Oh, yeah.
And you'll get it.
Oh, yeah. I thought, oh, this is a bit disappointing, and then suddenly I hit them. I was looking at the wrong thing. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you do see kind of really brightly the those main ones, and then you see all the other ones sort of resolve in as well. I didn't see any gas when I was using your
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't see it unless you had a long exposure photograph. Naked eye visibility doesn't show it, but if you do the right exposure for the long enough time, you can pick out that nebulosity.
The Seven Sisters will at some point in the near future become the Six Sisters, because although it won't blow up with a supernova, the biggest one of them is not long for this life. It will kind of fade away pretty soon as a white dwarf star. And so eventually the bright Seven Sisters will become six and five and so on. They will basically all go in the coming millions of years. It's not going to happen anytime soon.
The Seven Sisters in mythology were hounded by Orion. He was after their favours, that's the best way to describe it, and they were getting a bit fed up with Orion's attention. So basically what happened was the gods turned the sisters into doves, and the word Pleiad means doves, and that's why they're up in the night sky. In fact, the sisters are there with their mum and dad as well, because Atlas and Pleione, who are the parents of the sisters, are the two stars at the front of the cluster looking after their daughters.
I want to show you a bit of a different picture of M45, and you're probably wondering how I can do it in a little room like this, so I better tell you where I am first. I'm at the Isaac Newton telescope at La Palma, and this is actually called the Plate Library. These are copies of glass photographic plates from previous surveys of the sky that have been done around the world, kind of like maps of space, where they've taken lots and lots and lots of pictures of space, and then they got all these glass prints of them, and they made copies of them here onto this kind of plastic material, and people at other telescopes, like the one we're at now, can use them kind of as a road map, so they can have a look around space, figure out what they were looking for, what to point at. And here, it's probably quite familiar to most people, that's our Messier object. This is obviously a negative, and that's why we're not seeing it in the usual black of space with all the white and blue stars. We're seeing it the other way around. We're seeing it all white with black stars. But there you go. And I find it quite funny that we're here in this room, and above our head, about 2 or 3 floors, is the Isaac Newton telescope doing modern astronomy. A couple of floors below, here in this little room, is a little bit of a memento of old-fashioned astronomy. If you'd like to look at a few more pictures from and behind the scenes on our videos, you can go along to our Flickr page. There's always a bunch there. We're also on Facebook with regular updates about what's going on, and social media animals. We are on Twitter as well. But of course, the best thing you can do is always go along to YouTube and press the all-important subscribe button. Then you'll find out about every video we do as we do it.
There you go. So good videos there, Deep Sky videos. So yeah, go check out their YouTube page, and they got a lot of information there, a lot of planets and stuff. Alright, I wanted to play one more piece here for today. Since I've shown you, and at the beginning of the week, you had channeled messages with Barbara Marciniak. This is actually Barbara Marciniak in an interview she did back in 1996. It's a short little piece. You can see who she is, and I think she does a little channeling here, so you can kind of experience a little bit of that. So here we go.
Share with you today. Maybe it plants some idea inside of you, maybe it registers someplace with something that you already know, that you're impulsed to awaken in yourself, and maybe you're afraid, maybe you don't understand it, maybe you're concerned that you'll change too much. I believe in change, and I believe that the survival of the species and the transformation of the planet involves tremendous change. The message that the Pleiadians give is one of understanding the isolation that the human species has been locked within. They call the present version of the human species modern man, saying that basically we spring from an experiment that began about 500,000 years ago, and that the gods that created us are extraterrestrial beings who in reality have forgot their own gods, and these extraterrestrial beings are going through their own process of change at this time, and because they created us, because we're a part of how they learn, we're involved and they're involved in this time of coming together. What the Pleiadians have taught me is that this coming together, this collapsing of time, this merging of consciousness that's taking place between all species on the earth plane, has to do with something that is going to create, let me see how I can put it, a new geometric thought form, a new geometry of being that's literally going to move through our universe and change the entire course of our universe. They have told me and told the people that they speak to that the human species genetically has very different organizational structure than we've been led to believe. They said that the evolving human, the human that will emerge on this planet, will have 12 strands of genetic material, and these 12 strands of DNA will activate within the human full brain capacity. This is something that is quite a lot to consider, and yet I can say in the last few years of working with these energies that the process has begun to take place inside of me. I've changed. I have abilities that I did not have before. I have understandings that I never had before, and I have assistance that's based on non-physical presence that I know is always with me. And I feel that the message I'm led to share with you is that these beings are around all of us, and that if you would relax and if you reconsider who you are, you can open to this very wonderful relationship that's really a relationship with another form of yourself.
All right. Very nice, very nice. So there you have it. That is a piece about the Pleiades. UFO news is up next.
This is the UFO news with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. So this really kind of continues on because Pleiades is all UFO news indeed. But here we go. These are the actual sightings and things that have been taking place recently. This was one over San Juan Capistrano. You can see this was in night vision. You see the 4 lights out there. It says the witness said was in their backyard sky watching with his best friend using night vision goggles when we observed 4 UFOs directly over my home and in turn fly towards LA, California. Alright, LA, California. We were able to record some of the event, adding footage to this report. We slowed the video down. You can also see another UFO pass over the other 4 at a very high rate of speed. We have been recording many UFOs in this area for the last 30 days. Alright, let's take a look and see what we have here. Alright. There's our object in question. Okay. We can go on to the next one there. This one here is over Turkey. You can see a little more up close here, but in the distance. This newscast aired this week in Turkey of a UFO that hovered over Gebze. The UFO is a classic disc design that we all know and love. Apparently this shape is really popular with aliens. It is the VW bug of space design. If anyone here can understand Turkish, let us know in comments what they are saying about the sighting. I'm going to leave that for you to watch that. I just wanted to show you a little bit here of what's in the background there. Alright? Moving on to the next one here. This is UFOs caught near a falling meteorite over Virginia. Alright? Here's the objects. Let's look here. This was on the 20th. Images that we present have been recorded at the city of Hampton, Virginia, August 20th, 2013, that 2020, when the sky appeared a long trail and fragments of what is certainly a meteor. One of the many witnesses was able to document the incident and publish images on the web. Spectacular is the fact that among the fragments of the meteorites and the drag created by the impact with the atmosphere, you can see the UFO light balls that constantly follow the track of fireball and debris. Some ufologists, the balls of light shot the meteorite, while others believe that the pictures may show the remains of a large alien spacecraft. Alright, that's the one there. Next we're going to go over this one here. This was a live cam over to church in Campeche, Mexico on the 27th. You can see it right up there. Alright. So I was looking over the live cam of the famous Mexican volcano called Popocatépetl, because it is known to have an entrance to the alien base within its mouth. I and others catch the UFOs around here. Alright. Today I decided to look for a few other cams near the volcano. I found two unusual objects near what looks like a church steeple. Alright. So the pictures are here so you can check them out. And of course, see it right there? That's the one we're seeing right there. Okay, next story here. See these footprints? These were found in a cave in an Indian village. Ancient footprints of UFO engraving discovered in small Indian village. In a small Indian village, large ancient footprints on a rock and an engraving of a strange flying object nearby are still a mystery in the modern world. The large footprints in Pisca Nagri village is currently under the study by geologist Nichis Paradarishi. They can be found in the outskirts of Ranchi city in Jharkhand state. The footprints may be worn by someone in wood sandals. They measure 20 centimeters long and 12 centimeters wide. According to local folklore, the prints symbolize the existence of gods landing on the site. Epoch Times reports the Lord Rama and Lord Krishna, god kings of Indian mythology, apparently spent time in the area in search of Rama's wife. Alright? And one last one. This is, remember I showed you the story of the Taj-Mahal? Well, this is just same thing, but we have some little bit video shots here. It's a long piece, 4 minutes, and I'm just going to kind of jump over to here. They have a history of things being captured there. Alright, and here's kind of the more recent. Now, I'm going to leave that for you to decide if this is real or not. That's what's out there. Alright, that's what's out there. That's the picture. I don't know. Something to me seemed a little strange. I want your opinion of it. Let me know what you think. Alright. So there you have it. That is our UFO news. I've got a bunch more news, so don't go anywhere.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
Alright, here we go. Truth time. So what's going on out there? There's a lot of craziness, right? The last couple of days I've been showing, not just last couple of days, for show after show after show, showing you these dots that are out there. Okay, basically what we're doing is we're connecting the dots. By connecting the dots, we can understand that there's something going on we need to pay attention to. So we've seen in yesterday's report, the Jenna Napolitano says there's some major cyber attack is imminent, and there's a natural disaster that's most likely on its way. Well, how would she know this unless, of course, she was somebody who was privy to that information? Obviously she is. Or maybe there's an involvement. Maybe they're involved with it. Maybe this is another one of these false flags. Because remember, we have to think back to some of the warnings we've been given. Werner von Braun, he talked about this time and how the last card was going to be the alien invasion card. We hear about the natural disasters that are going on. We see stories trying to connect the two together. We hear stories of the other day, founding fathers, terrorists. You know, our Pentagon's going nuts. They're just, it's not making any sense. Everything's backwards these days. So here's a list. It's 72 types of Americans that are considered potential terrorists in official government documents. And if you go down this list here, you're going to be amazed at what you see. I mean, those that talk about individual liberties, those that advocate states' rights, those that want to make the world a better place, the colonists who sought to free themselves from British rule. Okay? And goes on and on and on. On and on and on. Anyone that is anti-nuclear, anyone anti-Catholic, anyone anti-abortion, right-wing extremists, returning veterans, you know, evangelical Christians. So this is kind of a like yesterday's report about the Founding Fathers, this is now a full-on list broken down of all the different points in there. This is not to make you fearful. This is to help you understand there's something going on. Our prophecy has talked about an end time. We seem to be in that point, and things are playing out. We could see that the target has become the American people, and every day it seems to be more and more true. So awareness is important. The more awareness we have in these situations, the better off we're going to be. We can perhaps avert the situation by using our minds to create the situation we want. And so sometimes being aware of what's going on helps you to change that. Okay? We can get more into that later. It's kind of the idea of meditations and so on. Pentagon prepping for large-scale economic breakdown. High-level government documents reveal the Pentagon is preparing in full force for a large-scale economic meltdown and a massive revolt via the U.S. public. Exactly what we are criticized for doing. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and leave that article for you. You get the point, right? Something's going on, and if we're not paying attention, I'd be caught like a deer in headlights. And you know a lot of people that aren't paying attention out there, right? They're not looking at any of the news. They're unaware of what's taking place in the world, and one day they're going to be surprised. What? Why didn't I hear that on Fox News or CNN should have told me? You hear those comments all the time. Don't understand. Okay, here's a drill. Advance notice of a drill that's coming up. Power grid down drill to be conducted by U.S. government. Power grid vulnerabilities are finally gathering some attention by government officials. An electrical grid drill joint simulation is being planned in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. Thousands of utility workers, FBI agents, anti-terrorism experts, governmental agencies, and more than 150 private businesses are involved in the November power grid drill. The down power grid simulation will reportedly focus on both physical and cyber attacks. The antiquated electrical system in the United States has been one of the most neglected pieces of integral infrastructure. The EMP Commission, created by Congress, released a report in 2008 calling for increased planning and testing and stockpiling of needed repair items. The SHIELD Act, which is stalled in Congress, is the first serious piece of legislation in many years to attempt to address the vulnerabilities of the power grid. And previously reported by Off Grid News, a recent American Society of Civil Engineers report gave the power grid a D+ when grading various pieces of infrastructure and public services in the United States. The disaster drill is being described as a crisis practice unlike any real power grid has ever experienced. The Grid X drill, November 13th and 14th, will focus primarily on how governments will react if the electrical grid fails and, for instance, the food supply chain collapses. Okay. Janet Napolitano said there was a cyber attack coming. Now we're going to have the grid is going to be shut down or worked on. You need to pay attention to these things, see how they might be connected, and then you tie in the fact that the government is planning for the riots and planning for government breakdowns. Seems that they could possibly be creating some sort of a breakdown. And of course, all of these events are taking place in conjunction with this comet Ison, which is coming into our solar system more and more each and every day. It's going to be, I believe, October 1st. It's somewhere around Mars. And then at the end of November, I believe it's crossing around the sun, making that loop around the sun. And then by January, it's on its way out, and that's when we possibly cross through the backside. I'll have to double check that. I'm pretty certain that's right on. But something's going on. All of these things are coinciding at similar events. So we could at least see that if this drill is until November, and if there's a government false flag, probably, November, sometime after that is when we would experience something like that. So just put this in your something to be aware of category, all right? This one here is a little bit of success that's going on out there. Hedge funds, insiders begin dumping Monsanto stock as a reality of GMOs sinks in across Wall Street. Natural news. Monsanto executives and insiders are dumping Monsanto stock in record volume, sending the stock price spiraling downward. CEO Hugh Grant just sold off 40,000 shares at $97.74. And both Janet Hollowell and Gerald Steiner, both high-level Monsanto executives, recently ditched more than 10,000 shares each. Tom Hartley also bailed on another 6,000 shares at $100.15. Hedge funds, meanwhile, are also dumping Monsanto stock, most likely due to sharply increased negative sentiment. This means people increasingly don't like Monsanto, and that's a direct result of all the growing realizations about the dangers of GMOs. Monsanto's predatory business practices, the company's dangerous experiments that have already unleashed genetic pollution, and the fact that GM corn has been experimentally found to cause widespread cancer tumors in rat studies. Just the fact that Monsanto's GE wheat trials got out of control and contaminated a wheat field in Oregon, causing Japan and South Korea to ban U.S. wheat imports, has resulted in 150 groups now demanding the USDA keep a tighter lid on Monsanto's GMO experiments. These groups are fed up with seeing the market value of their crops destroyed by sloppy open-field experiments being conducted by Monsanto that spread genetic pollution across this country and contaminate non-GMO crops. Good news, people are stepping up. See, this is a time of awakening. Yes, there are crazy things in the world going on. Things seem backwards. But sometimes, and most of the time, when things get pushed so far to the edge, things change at that point. People are fed up. When people are fed up, apathy can end because people are fed up enough, and change happens then. Change for the positive. Because there are more good people in this world that want good things to happen. Those that are doing these bad things, they're just greedy individuals. They're just misguided. They don't need to be in power and doing the things they're doing. So all we need to do is be aware, take our power back, and look what we can do. We can solve problems. This is just the beginning, but we can solve problems. It's all up to us. You know, let's work together. Let's keep it going. Good stuff, right? All right, here's an interesting piece. Miniature human brain grown in lab. Miniature human brains have been grown in the lab in a Feech science hope will transform the understanding of neurological disorders. The pea-sized structures reach the same level of development as in a 9-week-old fetus, but are incapable of thought. The study, published in the Journal of Nature, has already been used to gain insight into rare diseases. Neuroscientists have described the findings as astounding and fascinating. The human brain is one of the most complicated structures in the universe. Scientists at the Molecular Biotechnology of Australian Academy of Sciences have now produced some of the earliest stages of organ development in the laboratory. Now, this is what they're doing and presenting to the public. What do you think they're doing behind closed doors? We've got the DARPA project, right? DARPA's working with the human brain. Is this somehow going to tie into this? I'm guessing they've probably already gone further, because if they're studying the brain on that level, you know, so just stuff to pay attention to. Just a little piece to pay attention to. Alright, here is a movie that I'm recommending you watch, because it is an awesome movie. It's called Ancient Knowledge. This is part 6, The Lost History of the Phoenicians, the Alphabet, Symbology, Ashkenazi Mythology. It's from Illuminati, the movie is the poster here over at YouTube, and it's an hour and 5 minutes long. I'm going to play a little piece right now just so you can get a little taste of what this is about. But take the time today and watch this movie, okay? I know you've learned lots of things about mythologies and religion and evolution and how life, you know, expanded. This will confirm things that you've known. It will help you to understand some other things. It's a really good way of taking all those pieces of the puzzle and kind of putting them together. And just remind yourself. It's not like this is brand new information that's not ever been put out there, because this information is out there. It's just the way in which they collected this and put this together is really awesome. And it's just a great way to understand something of history that maybe wasn't taught in the way that it actually happened. Schools don't teach these things. So I'm going to play a little bit right now, and then I'm going to recommend to you that you check out the rest of it. I'm just going to leave it there because there's just so much once you get into it. Watch this movie. Okay, watch the movie. You could kind of see a little bit where it's going. It gets into symbols. It goes all the way back, talking about the history of our planet, going back to the Phoenicians, about where they came from, how their knowledge expanded out into the world. Very well worth your time, and I think you might be surprised by some of the information you find in there. But once you hear it, you'll understand, and it'll make a lot of sense and put a lot of things together for you. All right? All right. This is a piece here. It's about things we can do to help heal ourselves, because that's ultimately what we need to be doing. We need to help each other. We need to heal each other. Look, we're down here on this planet. We're all here, part of maybe a grand experiment. There are many that are down here to assist with this experiment in different ways. They came specifically knowing that there was something going on, so they're here to help with this transition. There are many who are along just for the ride because it's part of their journey to evolve in that way. Because as I was saying before, the universe is an intelligent place. It is an intelligent source that guides the universe, an intelligent creator. And as aspects of this creator, that intelligence is inherent within each one of us. Therefore, in all of us is the ability to reach that point of intelligence that is required, that is not even required, that is part of who we are. And so all we have to do is keep our mind open and keep expanding. And as we expand in our intelligence, we step more into who we are. If the universe is an intelligence place, then by that very nature, we are intended to be intelligent beings as extensions of the Creator. So in life, there's a lot of tools that we have, and we sometimes limit ourselves because we say we can't use this tool or can't use that tool, or astrology's bad or tarot's bad, or all these things are bad, and this takes you away from God, and this and that. You know what? Too many limitations. We have to look at things as just tools. Yes, this world, the world down here, the 3D world, has certain restrictions and limitations that the spiritual world doesn't have. There are certain forces and energies controlling this world, keeping freedom from really existing as it could be. Okay? But there's a lot of good things going on in this world, and that's the constant battle, that battle between good and evil, the war that we hear about good and evil, the spiritual battle. Okay? If we remember that this is a spiritual battle, and we stay focused on how to overcome the other, how to work together, then we're really, on the right path. We want to be able to understand that there are tools and things we can use in this world that will help us to evolve. All of our ancestors, the Mayans, the Egyptians, they had sciences, esoteric sciences that they studied, that they learned, that are very helpful in life. If we turn away from that because we're afraid to look, well, we might be missing a piece of the puzzle. And down here, in 3D world, down on Earth, we need to use whatever tools are necessary to help us to get where we have to get. Okay? Just because some of the tools are being used by those who we considered to be part of the dark forces, doesn't mean they are tools of the dark forces. They are just tools. Tools can be used by anyone. And if we understand that, then we can utilize the same tools as intelligence gathering sources. Look how much from looking at the planets and the stars that we understand about ourselves. Okay? There's nothing about that if we really understand the concept of God, not the gods that claim to be God, but if we really understand the concept of God, we understand that all of this wisdom was put there for us so that we could grow to learn, and we learn from all of this. So just my 2 cents on that issue and the matter. And as an extension of that, as we work with our consciousness, as we work to increase our intelligence, we learn the important things in life are healing ourselves, continually healing situations, evolving situations. And so we learn to work together in a different way. We learn to work together in a more helpful situation, that we're all here to help each other. Part of this is here, this is energy exercises for healing poverty, consciousness, and feeling your best. Okay? We all have issues we're trying to heal in our lives and figure things out. Well, would it surprise you to know that even the millionaires worry about money and have a poverty consciousness at times? Do you realize that light workers and sensitive people pick up other people's fear and negative energies? It is more important than ever that you learn energy exercises that will help you stay balanced in these turbulent times. Many of the exercises presented here can be found in the Pleiadian workbook by Amora Quignon. This article is packed with a lot of information. Go at your own pace, read it more than once, and practice the videos often for the best results. Listen to your guidance system and only do what feels good to you. You are your own guru. These are simply suggestions. Okay, and then if you go down here, you've got information from Edgar Casey. Got some really good video information here. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff, okay? And let me just give you a little taste of what this is here. So there's human nature to go about and fear about survival when we feel scarcity and many times become sick. I am not a doctor, but these exercises I present to you have helped my help and others I know feel much better. Fear can create overwhelming anxiety and as a result, health challenges. The good news is that we may get conscious and transmute these heavy energies. By reading this article, you are starting the process. We all hear comments like, there are not enough good paying jobs out there, or money does not grow on trees. Enough to know that poverty mindset is ingrained into collective consciousness. Remembering abundance is not always easy, especially when we are faced with financial situations we do not like the never-ending array of bad news on the TV. The trick is to learn powerful grounding tools and aura balancing techniques that keep us in better place more often. It is also important to understand that poverty consciousness is a disease and that we will want to work on healing it in order to experience more of the life we desire. I know poverty consciousness is a disease because I have experienced it and the effects in my life and my loved ones. We must make the commitment to clear poverty mentality from our mind, body, and spirit on a regular basis. We have the technology to clear poverty mentality, and I will show you simple techniques in the videos below to help you do so. Alright, and why all this is important, again, it's all about energy. It's all about energy, and that's it. We want to clear our energy because the poverty consciousness is not about money. Okay, it's nothing to do with money. Money is just simply a way that we represent and exchange down here in the 3D world. Poverty consciousness is about the energy that we have. Do we have an abundance of energy available to us? Absolutely. Do we always tap into it? No. We often become afraid of using that energy, and then we have all the restrictions down here on Earth that limit us from using our energies. We need to break free from that, break free from the poverty consciousness that you are poor in energy, and realize the riches that you do have available to you. We all do. And that's what we're trying to clear, that consciousness. It's the consciousness of those who are, misguided and have misguided society. But as we know from the spiritual text, there is an intervention, and the intervention is on its way to assist humanity because there are those who have gotten out of control with things. So, good times are ahead, my friends. Good times are ahead, even though right now we're going through some challenges. The challenges are there so that we can get stronger. Here's the angel message for today. Let others be inspired by your example. Do not be fearful. Let others be inspired by your example. Do not be fearful. Okay, it's a good one. So as you go into the world, just be an example. Be an example of fearlessness. No matter what goes on in the world, there's nothing to be afraid of. Nothing at all. Okay? We have the promise from the Creator that this world is going to continue on, that we're evolving. There is no thing as death. There's the illusion of what we have here, but there's something so much more than just here. And we have so much more to who we are, so nothing to be afraid of. So just go out there, be the example of fearlessness today, and let others absorb your energy, your fearlessness, and be inspired by it, alright? How about that? All right, here's the message for today. This is Salusa.
Salusa. By Multi-Dimensional Ocean, a sense of the future.
The 26th of August, 2013.
Glorious are the months and years to come, as you will recall the times that you are going through with much pleasure at recalling the last months of your life when you were still half blind to your true nature and immense possibilities. As we go through the coming months, the light will shine forever stronger in your lives, it will not know any limits, and your consciousness levels will rise forevermore. You are awakening from a long slumber, from a long sleep, from a frozen state as it were. Many people speak the truth these days, although the cabal is still attempting to tighten its grip around you. To be fair, it would be correct to say that the more the cabal tries to control your every move, your every thought, your every word, the more the light will shine on their actions and plots. The liberation from the cabal and its ways has to come from within as well as from the outside world. Join those who expose the working of the cabal and see the effects that the cabal's ploys have on you, or rather the effects that the cabal wishes it had on you. Your light is being dimmed by the cabal efforts to undermine your consciousness awakening, as well as trying to weaken your physical, emotional and mental body. Their attempts to pollute your water, your food supply, your atmosphere will be stopped by your own collective consciousness and by your own awareness. Follow the path to the truth and you will also find the path to self-liberation and to freedom. For many thousands of years you have allowed your power to be taken away from you, you have allowed your free will to be interfered with, you have allowed your health and the health of your children to be undermined. At last you are beginning to understand that your power is in collision and acting together as one. Speak of what gives you concern about your environment, about your political leaders, about social issues, about your health to those who have similar concerns, and you will exchange information, which is very often what lacks most on your planet. Show your openness, your goodwill, your interest and that you all have the same goal ultimately. The sense of unity that was missing for many centuries or even thousands of years, is finally reaching your consciousness as you realize that everything that you do, think and say impacts those around you directly or indirectly. Your role is mainly to be a catalyst for the global changes that the Earth is experiencing right now. This is why so many of you are needed to incarnate at this time on Mother Earth, whereas there were not many light workers present in the history of this planet. As you see our ships passing in the night, many of you can feel a sense of peace and happiness at the knowledge that you are not alone in the universe, that you are not alone to have intelligence and life running through your veins. Progress on the relationships between star sisters and brothers will be the next important step for the human consciousness, as you are still uncovering the cabal's hidden agendas and spying program on every single living being of your planet. The cabal's plan of controlling you through knowing everything to is to know about you is being stopped and dismantled as we speak on the higher levels of realities. You will have to be an active role player in this process if this is a call that you hear. Once this step has been dealt with, and that you re-establish a sense of control over your government, you will begin making friendships and partnerships with galactic beings, who will suddenly be more open and well-disposed towards the human being from Earth. Ending wars and any type of nuclear programs permanently will conclude a permanent stable friendship between the Galactic Federation and the Earth allies. For the moment you can see our ships patrol in your skies and observe, take surveys of the environment. We hope that this will lead the Earth population to understanding that we are in no way a threat to you, and that our intentions are peaceful. I am Salusa from Sirius and we send you much love and affection in your endeavors for love and truth. Thank you, Salusa.
Alright, very good. That brings us to our meditation for today. So, let's go ahead and let's do it. Take a deep breath. Exhale. Take another deep breath. And exhale again. Let's imagine now that we are walking down a path. And as we walk down this path, we see others walking along. There are those at the side of the road resting, while others continue to walk. And from time to time we see people stumble. Sometimes they fall. And as we walk along, we find that it's very natural to want to reach out and to help. And as we reach out and we help others to stand, to walk, this becomes an inspiration to the rest of the people. And everyone starts helping everybody else. And as we begin to help each other, we realize that this is truly who we are. That we're all supposed to work together to help each other out. And as we continue to help each other, we learn from each other. And we realize that the differences we have are very, very, very small compared to the similarities. We find that we're all seeking freedom, happiness, and peace. We find that we are not in synchronicity with the warmonger attitude of this planet. Yet we all go along. So as we all work together and we realize these things, we realize we can put a stop to all of this nonsense if we collectively use our minds to do so. So we stop and we connect with all the other minds across the planet who are wanting the same thing, the same goodness in life. And we imagine all around the planet all of the missile silos. And we imagined all of those missile silos being sealed shut so nothing can escape from them. We imagined the nuclear plants across the country and all of the nuclear weaponry that exists. And we imagine putting a protection around it, a lock, and we seal them from being able to allow any weaponry to escape. We imagine all the tyrants around the world in each and every country, the terrorist leaders that are out there, and we imagine them in chains, in handcuffs, being led away. And we imagine peace reverberating throughout the entire planet. We imagine this peace going down into the planet to calm the earth, to calm Mother Earth as we go through this transition. We imagine all the seas around the planet, we imagine them being calm. And we imagine the earth, and we imagine it being calm. And as we send this energy of calm around the planet and peacefulness around the planet, we find that synchronicity with the transition becomes more understood. So from our hearts, from the heart chakra, let's send out love. And let's send this love all around the planet. And let's imagine this love being sent to each and every individual. And let's imagine love going out to all of those leaders that were handcuffed and led away. Let's imagine this love going to them and transforming their minds and their hearts so they realize the error of their warlike ways. Let's imagine love sent down into the planet Earth and out into the cosmos to all of those who are here to assist us, to our space brothers and sisters in this dimension in others. And let us give thanks to the great Creator, the Creator of all, for the gift of life and the opportunity to evolve into the intelligent beings that we were created to be. Now let your subconscious mind continue on that journey, sending out love into the world. Let's bring our conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take a deep breath. Exhale. And open your eyes. That's it. That's it, my friends. Just go into the world and just keep sending love out. Whatever problems there are in the world, we can solve them. That's what we're here to do. Sometimes we get so overwhelmed thinking that the powers that be have this plan. So what? The powers of good have a plan too. The powers of God have a plan too. And those plans override anything the powers that be down here can do. So rest assured, my friends, things are going to be okay. We're here to do good. So just do good, send love into the world, and watch the amazing things that happen when we all get on that page. I'll be back tomorrow. Love ya. Talk to you soon. Have a great day. Peace. I'm out of here.